Let me first bring him on out. Okay, I have hosted him several times over the years. He's become one of my con buddies. He has known for several characters, so many roles, so many times, and we're talking about his new projects and everything else. First of all, please welcome Mr. Steve Whitmire.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. And our bonus guest that I just found out about 30 seconds ago, maybe you knew, I didn't. Please give it up for the equally amazing, totally awesome Kevin Clark!
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey.
We thought it would be fun if we did this together.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about.
And we're sleepy, so, you know.
And we always said that we were joined at the bottom of our feet.
That's right, that's right.
We're twins, supposedly.
Yeah. We were Muppet
Can't
twins.
you tell?
I see the resemblance. Yeah.
I cut my hair off a long time ago.
Yeah, I let mine grow, you know.
Well,
the reason we said that, by the way, is because we had very similar backgrounds to the way we ended up with the Muppets. Yeah.
From Atlanta and Baltimore. And
Yeah, well, that's not the similar part. Let's see, what did we do?
what was this?
The similar part was that we were both fanatic Muppet people from early age.
Yes.
And we kind of got involved with Jim's company, Young.
Totally. And we were tech fanatics too. So
That's
we would
right.
always talk about, you know, what CD was coming out, what Bose was bringing out.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
back when we knew the numbers of the. Well, I just got a Bose 1723,
I
you know,
just
or whatever
got
it
a
was.
Bose 2000 something.
I don't even. I don't know any of that anymore.
No, me either.
Sorry, we
digressed.
no, bro, this is all good. I think well, first of all, welcome to Richmond and everything else. Great to see you again. We had
Always.
a lot of fun in Columbus.
Yes,
we did an event. We may try to do something in the future where we did a screening of Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's right.
And he and I watched it. And we did a live commentary track on it stuff. When we would pause the film, if he had a long rabbit hole to go into, it was a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll do that again at one of our other shows, and maybe even bring it next year.
Yeah, I hope so. It was great fun. We also talked about the possibility of doing one with Treasure Island or in other movies.
Yes.
You know, so we could.
Oh yes, no, the whole thing's up for grabs. So if you like the sound of that, hit us up and say, hey, we want that Muppet movie thing.
We like the sound of that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. For everybody's background, let's go back to the beginning. I've heard this story before. I don't think I've had a chance to hear. So how did the path to puppetry begin for each of you?
You start.
Well, I was 10 years old, building in Baltimore.
I was 10 years old, building in Atlanta.
Okay, it's going to keep happening.
It's going to happen.
And started doing shows of building. Well, I built puppets, and then I started performing them in school.
Exactly the same.
And then started doing local, like fairs and everything. And then this amazing
birthday parties.
Yeah, amazing birthday parties and churches and all this. And then this amazing performer, he was a weatherman, Stu Kerr, at one of the local stations. He saw me and he wanted to do a new children's program. And he asked my mom and dad, could I come and audition for it? And I got it. And he happened to be friends with Bob Keeshan, Captain Kangaroo. And so Captain sent me up to New York.
Wow.
CBS and all of that stuff when I was like 19 or something.
See that stuff online of you? Because I've seen some of it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Young Kevin is.
Yeah, I played Kevin, the college student.
He was as himself. Yeah.
And then I built puppets I built puppets for me, but also Gus Allegretti, who played Mr. Moose and Bunny Rabbit. And,
Yeah.
All right.
And then went on to go to Sesame through Kermit Love, who helped design and build the Big Bird and Snuffy.
Yeah. Do you have any of the ping pong balls from Captain Kangaroo?
You know what? Yes.
You do?
Wow.
That's awesome. All right.
They don't know. They still don't know. So
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But yes.
Wow.
Yes. They were right in the corner of the set, and I just started,
Oh, you got to have those.
Yes.
You guys know what he's
wonderful.
talking about? Does anybody? Some people know Captain.
Yeah. Ask your
You're
parents.
showing your age.
Yeah.
But from there, I went on to work on Sesame, and then started. Jim asked for me to do, the movie Labyrinth, and But I met Steve. When did I meet you? I don't.
I want to say it was.
What was the first thing that we did together? I don't know.
It was. You were not on Dark Crystal. You came in just after that. It wouldn't have been. It may have been something like the. It wouldn't have been the Bunny Picnic. We knew each other.
That's right.
By
It was
then.
Labyrinth then.
No. Was it
must
that
have
late in the
been.
game?
Yeah, because we didn't do anything on Sesame at that point.
We did the Jim Henson Hour. Was that before or after? That was after.
That was after.
You know, it all runs together.
Yeah, so I think it was the movie. I think we met on
Yeah.
the movie where you started Ambrosius on Labyrinth, and then I took over because
That's right. Because I wanted to go home.
Yeah, and I did the Fireys, and yeah, you had to take a break because you.
It really was.
Yeah, listen to us rambling on.
No, this is good with you guys. Yes.
Oh, please. But then Steve and Dave and Jerry.
Yeah.
They all, Jim wanted them to work on Labyrinth,
Yeah.
but they had just finished Fraggle Rock in
Yeah.
Toronto, and so they were knackered.
Yeah.
That's a British for.
That's British for.
And so Steve said to Jim.
I had to, sometimes I wish I hadn't done it because, we had so little time with Jim, but I just said, Jim, I got to go home. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay for the divorce. I've been working constantly so hard, and of course I love it, but and he was very nice about it, but I could tell he was very disappointed because he really wanted his main people there.
Yeah.
But I just stuck to my guns.
And I wanted to spend more time with Steve.
Yeah, we wanted to do that.
That was the first time I got to work with you.
I had a lunch with Jim a couple of days, like the last couple of days before I was going to leave in Elstree. We were shooting this thing. And I said, I just felt so bad. And I said, Jim, I'm really sorry I have to go. And he said, well, you could change your mind. I said, no, can't do that, sorry. So basically what I was doing on there was every anonymous thing and Ambrosius the dog, this big sheepdog. And so Kevin kind of took that character when I walked away. Yeah.
It was a fun puppet. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was matched to a real sheepdog.
Right. I love when we did that.
Yeah, it was
a
gorgeous.
few times, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely. So what? You started beforehand. You got sent straight to the UK to the Muppet Show, I believe. After
I did. Yeah. Whenever I
the
came
first
in.
episode was the Alice Cooper episode.
Alice Cooper. That's correct. That's correct. And I've told this story at Comic-Cons before, but you guys may not know. I showed up. I'm like 19, I think, 18 or 19. Jim just picked me up and dropped me in London. I'm doing the Muppet Show, and it was the biggest thing that could happen to an 18-year-old. And I had built a puppet of Alice Cooper because I was just out of high school, and I was a rock and roller and loved Alice Cooper. He was at that time. So I took this puppet with me to London because I knew I was going to meet Alice Cooper. Jim let me bring the puppet, my own puppet, on the set, and the photographer for the show took a photo of me and my puppet and Alice. Alice was the nicest guy in the world. He still is. So that was 1978. Fast forward 40 years to 2018. I come to a GalaxyCon and there's Alice Cooper. I brought the puppet.
I told you to bring the puppet.
You told me to bring the puppet.
I did, yeah. I said, we got Alice Cooper in our next show. Bring him along.
That's right. So he had signed the puppet. So we redid the picture of the three of us 40 years later. I love that thing. That's one of the great things about the Muppets, and I find it at Comic-Cons now. Like I worked with John Cleese 100 years ago, and Gates McFadden worked on Labyrinth with the both of us.
I haven't seen her. You saw her more recently.
I've seen her a few times, but we get to have this full circle in our lives where we're meeting back up with all these people from many, many, many years ago. It's great fun for us.
By the way, we took some more pictures with me and with him and the Alice
That's
Cooper.
right, that's
Alice
right.
Cooper, yeah. So that's one of my favorites of all time. Ooh.
Yeah.
That and our green room picture of me and you.
Yeah.
Which we had to take under the radar. Don't let me tell you. Well, that and from GalaxyCon Live when I had both you gentlemen and Frank on during the lockdown, all that stuff. That was great. Did anyone watch any of our GalaxyCon Lives? Okay, a few people. All right, good. Well, I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you watched the one we did with the Muppets and
We have a
Sesame
lot of
Street.
fun doing those. They're free, and people can just sign on and see them. If you follow GalaxyCon, you'll know about them. But it was fun to do something. We all are in touch with Frank, but it's not like we see each other every day. So to do this thing with Frank Oz, it was a Sesame Street panel, actually. It was great fun. That's about the only way you'll get to see Frank at a Comic-Con. So,
No, I asked him. He said, "Clash."
yeah.
Really? I said, "Yes, please do it. Please do it."
Well, we did sort of no pun intended, con him into being a part of our. We did this
you conned him into
Christmas
doing it?
Carol screening. Yeah. On the big screen. I just called him, I wrote him an email about 3 days before and said, would you consider just popping up on the screen as a surprise before we do this screening? And he said, well, you know, I never do these things, but okay, I'll do it for you. And it was, we didn't, he said, but you can't advertise it, because he just doesn't do Comic-Cons. But there was Frank.
We're trying.
We got about 10
We're
minutes.
We're trying.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes of Frank, which was great. You know,
Wonderful.
For each of you, well, first of all, a little bit, let's talk about dinosaurs real quick, because obviously...
I'm the baby, gotta love me.
Yep.
We had such a great time on that.
We did.
You and Leaf Tilden and
it was incredibly hard work.
yes.
And the puppets.
Well,
were
not
always-
me. I
need a new Timmy.
I had the easy job
Yes,
because it was
yeah.
a puppet,
Except
and
you
I did
weighed
the
about
voice,
50 pounds, didn't
and
you?
it weighed about 80 pounds.
Yeah, okay.
Diaper was 20. You know, it was like, fortunately, it was in a high chair, so it took
That's
most
true.
of the weight was
That's true.
taken more with the
And
high
we were
chair.
younger.
We were much younger at the time.
And it was so subversive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at it, it's like, oh, okay, it's one of those shows. And you
Right.
watch it, it's like, is anybody else watching this and seeing this? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
the little bits and blowing up Timmy and everything else.
What's wild is that, you know, you have the ABC, so you have sensors and everything, and we were really surprised about what they would, you know, flag
Yeah.
and what they wouldn't.
Yep.
And we were like, did you just, okay, never mind.
Do we have some dinosaur fans in the house? All right.
It was a great show. I haven't gone back and looked at it in a long time.
Wonderful,
but
wonderful
So well
show.
put together. Yeah.
It was it was actually the best written show that I've done.
Yeah, that may be the
Yeah.
case. It was 3 production companies, Disney and Henson and Michael Jacobs, right? Wasn't it? Yeah.
There was a lot of up-and-coming writers on that
Yeah.
that went on to
Yeah.
Rob Hewlin, I think became the head writer of Roseanne.
Yeah,
You know, there's a lot of amazing
Yep.
up-and-coming writers on that show.
That's right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bit of a technical puppeteering question. How long did it take you working this in standard? Like had some Muppet, the hand up here, everything else. It's like, how long did it take you for your arm to get in shape? Because the few times that I've attempted to do it, I think like for more than a few minutes, I'm like,
I'm still waiting.
oh really? I just had this image that if one of you guys flexed your Muppet arm, it'd be like Popeye, like from there.
No, it becomes second nature.
Yep.
The same thing with creating a voice for. You know, I get asked, and I know you do too. You know, are you a voice? Did you do the voice of the puppet, or you know, did you do?
Yep.
And we you know, I always say that Jim, we're performers, so Jim would you know, it wasn't even an audition because we were all a part of the Jim Henson group of Puppeteers, and so. Sometimes there'd be a long table with all of the, you know, just mock-ups of the characters, and we would just put them on, and he would say, you know, and if it worked, that's the one we would do.
Yeah.
So that's how it all happened as far as the characters
casting,
I got.
really.
The
Yeah,
casting
yeah.
with Jim was he knew all of our, you know, all of our manners, the different talents that we had, and so he knew what Dave would do, what Jerry could do, you know, what Steve, and you know.
They were Fraggle was a good example. I know you're
Yes.
asking about the arm thing, but just to follow up on that,
Let's go down all the rabbit holes. I'm good.
the Fraggle was a good example of that because we all went in. A bunch of us went in this kind of fake audition, like they already. Jerry Jewell, who wrote that, Jim's head writer and former puppeteer forever, they already knew who they wanted to do what character. Oh, really? It was just a fake. Jerry later admitted that they.
Oh, my goodness.
They wrote Wembley for me. They wrote.
No.
Gobo could have been Dave or
I don't want to
Jerry.
hear this.
They already knew. I mean,
You
Wembley
got
had to
Gobo
be
in the
me.
front row.
There you go.
Wembley's right here. Yes, yes. but back to your arm question for a second.
Yeah.
It. I did these sort of puppetry sessions at this show for the first time with kind of a small exclusive thing with only a couple people because I wanted to really, if you're a beginner, I wanted to concentrate with only a couple people and really show them how to do this. And we did one yesterday with 2 people who had quite a bit of experience. It was very different than 2 people today who had never put on a puppet before. You know how that is. No. So there's a lot to learn. And
sometimes you're pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
How they pick it up quick.
That's right. But last night I did this thing where I had my arm in the air for over an hour, right? And I built myself this little armrest, but it really didn't help. I'm so sore from this today. You know, I'm not as young as I used to be, but an hour, jeez.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't know if you got to do this, but you know, I would do the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yep, I did Kermit a couple times.
Yeah, so because you did.
It's a killer.
Oh, you start on 80th Street or something like that, and you get on the float on 80th, and then somebody says, you know, Sesame or Muppets, you know,
right.
Welcome, enjoy it, enjoy the parade. And so from
coming up next, here's the float for the Children's Television Workshop.
Yeah, and everybody's like this because they've been up since the 80th. It's down, and you don't do the televised part of it until 34th Street.
Yeah.
So you're literally
50 blocks.
I remember doing the Fraggle Rock one, working. Or Sesame Street, you're hearing the theme over, and you have to do it. Fortunately, us inside, we're through windows, so you can rest your arm. But poor, with Big Bird, they'd have to make a harness for him to keep his arm up and stuff.
The one that I did, the Macy's Parade, and it was the best experience ever, but it was a killer. They had me come in and help them. It was with Kermit. Oh. They had me help them design the float. So if you imagine the float, it's only as high off the ground as this stage. So they built me what was really like a coffin in here. So I'm lying flat on my back like this for hours. And that's not a horrible position to puppeteer in. But the other thing they did, which they'd never done before apparently, they never give anyone a live mic throughout the parade. Well, they gave Kermit one. And so I was able, and I had all these monitors pasted. I'm like this. 4 monitors, 4 cameras. I've got a Disney producer in my ear who's walking along saying, okay, there's a kid with a red shirt over here.
Oh my goodness.
Kermit would say, hey there, oh, I love your red shirt. And the people loved it because it was really Kermit. He was really communicating. Yeah. Oh, it was the best thing.
Acting like crazy to the audience.
And when I got out of there, I thought I was going to die.
When I did the Muppet Mobile Lab, I was just in a remote location using Disney Magic, so I didn't have that. But I had a little camera that I had to, zip it around on.
Yeah,
so.
That was a great one.
And it was black and white too, so I couldn't tell the color.
I did the Fraggle float. One year.
Recently?
No, way back when I
back.
wasn't even really. I don't know if I was even doing Sesame at the time, but they needed, and it was the same thing. But it was underneath.
Yeah.
And all of us were underneath, and it was like 10 degrees.
Ooh, yeah, it's always
sometimes you don't know what the weather's going to be.
Right.
And so we had, we put our hands through the holes, and all of the Fraggles were there. And then at certain points, we would come down, we would put sticks up through.
Just
bring our hands down and put little heaters on our hands. It was crazy.
The worst part of those parades, especially when it's cold, is you're in there for 3 or 4 hours, and if you've had any liquid that morning, I mean, you are in trouble. You are in trouble.
It's funny. I've never had, fortunately,
I
never had that problem. I lived on 72nd and Broadway.
Yeah.
So I'd go up to the float.
Yeah.
And, it was Thanksgiving, so I want to go home. So I put my luggage on the float.
Yeah.
And that would take me down the 34th to the train station. And I'd get on the train station.
Oh, that's perfect.
So it was great transportation.
And ride home.
Good gig when you get it.
Yes.
Absolutely. How about this? For either of you, on any puppet-related thing, a project, what was that you recall? What was the single craziest day you had on a Muppet or puppet set?
There've been so many of them, right?
Tell them about when you were doing Rolf and.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
You'll get what I'm saying when he talks about it.
Yeah. I had just joined the Muppets like 8 weeks before this. I was 19. I didn't even know whether am I going to last? Is Jim going to ever hire me back? And Jim would never tell you that. He knew he was going to bring you back, but you didn't know. And he finally, I said something to him like, I was still in the Muppet Show, and I said, I'm just wondering if I'll ever, he said, oh, of course, I'm bringing you over for the Muppet movie. I was like, thank God. So we went out to do the first Muppet movie. I was doing Rolf's hands on the piano. I don't know if you've seen the scene where Kermit and Rolf sing together. I was doing the hands on the piano. So,
and he's a great musician. I mean, he knows how to play the piano, a lot of instruments. So he was just right to do.
It's
Rolf's
funny.
hands.
I know how to play them. I'm not always good at it, but I always said Rolf was a great job for somebody who'd love to be good at it because it's pre-recorded. You get to, if you know where the notes are, you can make it look like you're really good.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got 3 fingers. But Jim, I was really obsessive. I went home and learned every single note on the piano, and I was in the right places on the piano, regular size piano. So we go in, and Jim was going to try to do, he was originally going to do one hand. But then he said, you know what? I don't want to think about this. You just do both hands. So I'm working like this, right? And it looks accurate. I know what I'm doing. It's all working. There's a monitor, because we look at monitors when we work, and there's a monitor right in front of me. And I'm trying to, and I mean, it's literally like this. I can see what I'm doing, but I almost don't need to see it because I've learned it, right? And all of a sudden, there was a certain point where, this is so stupid, that we're in the middle of a take, and I just was so close that my nose touched the monitor. And when it did, I got an incredible electrical shock. And Rolf's hands kind of go, and Jim, because it had been perfect up till then. And Jim, and Frank did Rolf when Jim was doing Kermit, they were trading off. And they both, cut! Or the director, and they said, what happened? It's been perfect up till now, I said, I was dizzy. They had to send me to like the nurse,
Wow.
I mean,
Of course, he had a scab.
I had a little spot for a couple of weeks. The hazards of puppeteering. That was crazy.
Mine was a Muppet meeting film. Jim and Frank used to do these Muppet meeting films that would go out to corporations that would, all of this talk, and then they say, well, let's watch a Muppet meeting film with the Muppets and everything. Yeah. And so Jim asked me to do one, and I had a Muppet that had nothing on. Frank was on with his character. They had two characters that they would do in these things, and then Jim was on the other side, and they would put facial stuff on him, and then I would say the line, and change it and everything. And I was so nervous because I was sandwiched between Jim and Frank. This was the first for me. And so I literally had I had 3 lines. So there was one line taped, another line taped, another line taped to my hand.
Yeah, you're not going to memorize them. You got to read them, right?
And then, and so I did it, I got through it. And then afterwards, Jim said to me, you can't memorize that little bit? So I thought that was it. I wasn't going to be seen ever again working. No, that was going to be it. So that's my craziness with
we almost never. I mean, okay, I have to ask you this because I don't know if I can interview him for a second.
This is your panel. I'm just.
I have always said that some of the most amazing work I've ever seen, I mean this because I tell people this, was when you were doing Elmo's World, that Elmo always was able to look into the camera while you delivered all that dialogue. Because I assumed you must be reading some of it.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember.
I mean, you're trying to make this thing look right into the lens because it was Elmo a lot of times solo.
Yeah, just always
communicating
with a fish in a goal.
Yeah. But he's talking to the kids, so you don't want his eyes to drift away. And he's looking up here while he's talking. It's really hard to do that.
The more mass of an eyeball, and the smaller the pupil, the more hard it is to keep focus.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading lines and I'm trying to keep.
Oh yeah.
You just get used to it.
You do, and I know what you're talking about. But sometimes you look away to look at the line, and you look up, and then you can't find your place in the script again.
Yeah, or he's drifting off. Yeah. The puppet is drifting off because. It's you get used to it. It's
yeah.
Well, before I jump in the audience, on behalf of myself,
you're going to jump into the audience.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Wow. You guys get ready.
Got to catch him.
But before I do that, I've told you this before. I probably told you about this before, but I'll just keep saying it again, man. I got to thank you guys. I have to thank you all for your talents, for your professionalism, and for all these performances that and your techniques that you've brought to these roles because they have just been.
We want to thank you for being such a fan. You know a lot about what we do.
Yeah,
so we appreciate
Thank you all. Thanks for that. Thank you.
So I'll open up to our audience questions. Just remember our 3 rules. You get 1 question at a time, and out of respect for both of our guests, you needed questions directed towards both of them. You had an individual question about individual body work. You could do that at their tables downstairs. And only questions, not going to take any requests, otherwise they'll have to recite the Gettysburg Address as Kermit and Elmo, and we're not doing that. So
is this the part where you jump into the audience?
Yes. Okay. I have now jumped in. So, all right.
Okay.
Hey, what's your name?
Tobias.
Hi, Tobias. Good to see you again.
Yes, I saw you at the line earlier.
Yeah.
So, in light of the mention of Treasure Planet, are there any other literary works, in Christmas Carol, are there any other literary works you would like to see done Muppet style?
I've never thought about that. Once we did those, I always felt like it was a good thing to move on and not cast them in another classic story. But you could cast them in almost anything. You know, have you ever seen, I've answered this way before. People have asked me that before, but this is true. Have you ever seen a movie called Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro? I think that'd be a great one.
Oh my goodness, Steve, what are you talking about?
I don't know who'd play the De Niro part, but I think Kermit as Al Pacino would be kind of fun.
I think Guys and Dolls would be fun.
I'm working on
Guys and Dolls, that's a
Guys
good
and
one.
I'm
Dolls
working
would be
on my
fun.
fourth divorce.
I mean, that's not exactly a literary work, I know. But,
There you go. Good question. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Victor.
hey, Victor.
Hi. Thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah.
Considering that you both took on the mantle, basically, of iconic characters, what did it take for you to figure out how to make that character your own while still keeping the essence of the character?
You're stepping into something that we didn't originate.
Or was there any advice that you got that helped?
It's just incredibly hard. I mean, I can speak to Kermit on that, in that I've been with Jim for about 12 years when he passed away, and I was around him a lot when he was performing Kermit. And the thing that gave me, I mean, I had all those memories, but that's all kind of external stuff. I don't think I could have ever done it if I hadn't known Jim, because we both know that
Totally true.
Kermit was a part of Jim. This
Jim
very
was Kermit, Kermit was Jim.
yeah. If you didn't know the similarities and the differences, really, because everything about Jim wasn't Kermit. There were certain things, it would have been impossible. It really took knowing the originator. And I've always believed that the Muppets, at their best, have been kind of like there's a legacy, of course. I call it a lineage.
Yes.
It's like martial arts or playing the piano. If you learn from an amazing person and they pass those things down, you can add to that. You can add things to that lineage, but it's based on something important.
Yeah, what's nice
know?
is it's based on being around him, and
Yes.
that's why you can play off and put Steve Whitmire a little bit in it.
Yeah.
But it's coming from him connecting to Jim
Yeah.
with the friendship and
Yeah.
the puppeteering connection that they had.
It was super important.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
That's why he's the best. He's the best with Kermit.
Thank you.
But me, I've been lucky. I haven't had to do anybody's.
You haven't stepped in.
I haven't had to step in with
Well, that's all
anybody
right. But
so far.
Richard Hunt did throw Elmo at you, right?
Yeah. But this is his Elmo. Yes, Elmo, yes.
That was Richard, right?
Yeah, that's why the head writer of Sesame Street came up and said, "Could somebody else do Elmo?" And then I was in the green room, the Muppet room by myself, and he threw it to me. He said, "Come up with the voice," and I said, "Hi, this is Elmo." Okay, fine. And he
Yeah.
took me into the producer. The producer said, "I don't care."
You could have done anything in that moment.
Yeah, I could do anything. I was the right one in there. I was only by myself. Took me into Lisa Simon, and she said, "I don't care. I'm just glad that Norman Stiles, the head writer, is not calling over, talking about how bad Elmo is." And so that's how I got it.
There you go. Great question. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Marlise.
Yes.
Question for both of you.
Yes.
And I totally lost it. I remembered.
Which one is handsomer? I'll give you you can ask us.
You're both
I want to
equally
answer that
just
first,
as
please.
handsome. So during any interviews of preferably most likely with a puppet, has there ever been an issue of from the interviewer as to who to ask the question to, being you or the puppet? Has there ever been? Has there ever been?
I mean, I've certainly experienced times when I'm doing this and the person's up here and they're looking past the puppet at me, but I try not to ever look at them. I would always try to look at the monitor, and they were forced to deal with the puppet.
I was lucky. I never had that.
You did a lot of stuff on Sesame where you were kind of right there next to people, right?
Yeah, but I mean, they believed. I remember, Ricky Gervais.
Yes. Oh, he's insane.
We were doing a NPR, a press thing real quick, and
Yeah.
he was saying the worst things you can't say.
Yeah.
He was at Sesame, and the PR person was saying, "Put down Elmo, and I was like, "No, I know Elmo, so I'm not going to play. I'm going to be Elmo. He's going to be Ricky Gervais." And he was saying all this stuff, and finally Elmo said, "Elmo, what's this tape afterwards?"
Oh, today.
"Elmo, what's this tape afterwards?" And everybody fell out laughing. You just. If you believe in who you know that character, then like Steve was saying, ignore what they're doing wrong, and they'll get it.
Yeah.
And they did.
They'll dial it in eventually.
Yeah, they dial it in.
Yeah.
We did the talk about
you talk about how Michael Caine was very present towards the Muppet character, and
Yes.
never really. He was always like, I'm going to treat them like they're the actors, you know.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. And when we did Christmas Carol, I felt like I had to up my game a little bit. So I memorized my lines for the first time ever, right? It's a lot, but the lines never, you didn't get new pages because it was Charles Dickens, it was the book, right? So if you got it, you got it. But I thought, this is Michael Caine. He's not going to be reading his lines on the side. I better learn my stuff.
The celebrities that come into Sesame Street, they so want to be there.
Yeah.
And they literally say, you know, now I know I have arrived. Because
Yeah.
I'm doing Sesame.
Yeah.
And so when they come in, their eyes are there. I mean, Tracy Chapman, who's an amazing singer, she's singing a song with the Sesame Street characters, and tears are literally running out of her eyes. She's so, you know, they just leave and they love and they're so excited. They want to sit on 123 Sesame Street. They want to go into Hooper Store, you know, and they want to they are like amazed to be around all of these characters that they grew up with, and they want their children to, you know, now they're watching it with their children. So it's a beautiful connection that happens.
Yeah. Great question. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Margaret.
Hello, Margaret.
So that's actually a perfect segue. I was going to ask who your favorite non-Muppet human person you've worked with in all the musicians and artists and actors, who the favorite
Nail it
you've
down,
worked with
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we've worked with a lot of people.
Yeah. Andrea Bocelli, I think.
Oh yeah,
for
he was
me.
great. Yep.
It was wonderful working with somebody that how they connect is the feel, the touch of. And so
You
while he
all
was,
know who Andre Bocelli is, right? He's
Opera
blind,
singer.
so he would feel the characters' faces.
So when he was recording the song, he wanted me to bring down Elmo to meet. And it was just a beautiful moment. You know, I have Elmo on, and he's touching, you know, and Elmo's talking to him, and they start singing together. It was beautiful.
I got to tell you a funny story about him.
Oh, really?
We
Yeah,
did
'cause you work with him too.
We did a Christmas thing with him with all the other Muppets outside of Sesame Street, and Dave's down there. And Dave, if you ever see this, Dave, I don't know whether we're taping it. Dave didn't really know who he was. You know, you don't always know who you're working with. A ton of us were in a big sleigh. We're doing this Christmas deal. He's singing Jingle Bells. Eric was doing Piggy by now, and Piggy's up there, and we're all in between takes. So he was feeling Miss Piggy's face, like you're saying, trying to get an idea, you know, what the shape was and all that. And I think he's just doing this. And Dave turned to me and he said, "Why does he keep squeezing the puppets? What is he, blind?" Bill Beretta and I cracked up. And we said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, he is."
Oh, I'm glad I wasn't there.
Fortunately, he didn't hear that, you know, but anyhow.
There you go. Thank you. Great. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Emily.
Hello, Emily.
Hey, Emily.
Hi, nice to see you again. I was wondering, from like a passion standpoint, what got you into this in the first place, and how you feel about like touching so many lives now.
Jim Henson for me.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Just watching, you know, growing up and watching, all of the different specials that Jim did back then, and I was glued to that television, and so it was Jim for me. It was like, you know, it was either Disney or Jim Henson, the Muppets. So
That's the same for me. And you got to remember, back when we were growing up, there was no internet, so you weren't able to follow the Muppets and all the chat. You know, there's no fan sites. You had to like wait for TV Guide to come in, and they'd say there's going to be a Muppet special, you know, or it was much harder to follow the Muppets. But there were only 4 TV channels, so.
If anybody doesn't know what a TV Guide is, meet me outside. It'll take about 10 minutes to explain how important it was. The only time I ever would run as a kid to the mailbox was Tuesday, because
right.
when the TV Guide would arrive.
It was like an actual magazine.
That's great.
That's a good.
Yeah,
Hey, thank you.
There was just something about watching Jim and those guys work that it just drew you
Amazing.
right in, you know.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Esther.
Hello, Esther.
I love Beaker.
Oh, that's
I was
fun.
wondering if you had any Beaker stories. Just seeing
Well-
Beaker about to come on cracks me up.
Beaker was Richard's character. We talked about Richard Hunt a minute ago, who threw Elmo in your lap and said, "Do this."
Yeah.
Richard also did Beaker originally. He originated this character. And really, I think Beaker was just a silly thing for Richard. I mean, you know, when Beaker made all those noises, meep noises, you could tell what he was feeling, what he was saying. And he was mostly getting hurt all the time. You know, Bunsen was kind of oblivious. He wasn't hurting him on purpose. But I mean, it's the only Beaker story I've really got is when I started trying to do it. Dave, who did Bunsen, and I worked together for many things. And so when Richard passed away in 1992, Dave said, well, you know, let's get Steve to do Beaker because he and I enjoy working together. And I tried to, just like with Kermit, I tried to take this character, what Richard had already started, and build on it, you know, and go in new directions, but not change him significantly. And part of that was trying to do the voice the way Richard did it. Now, I don't think I can do it today, but Richard would, it wasn't me, 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 me. It wasn't a high pitch. He would inhale to go, I can't even do it.
Hardest thing.
I can't do it today. Yeah, like that.
What does that sound?
Yeah, but he was pulling air in over his vocal cords, which almost always makes me choke. So if I was going to do Beaker, I'd have to go in another room and do that for a while before I could do it for real, you know. So Beaker was physically harder to learn than any other thing else.
And he did feelings? Richard did feelings.
Sucking air in.
Oh my God.
He did a song.
I had no idea that he did.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Richard would be like this. You know, he was recording it. Anyhow, sure.
Where the future is being made today.
Yes, yes.
Hey, what's your name?
Amber.
Hello, Amber.
Hello. What was your favorite or most memorable improvised moment thrown at you?
God, there've been a lot of those too, right?
Well, mine wasn't an improv. Mine was a blooper.
Oh.
Yeah. It was with wonderful Robin Williams. And we were off season. We were, you know, we couldn't do it, so we had to do it at some studio in New York. And so he was doing a bunch of stuff with the two-headed monster. He was doing, and so we did this piece where Elmo's sitting, and you've probably seen this. He was sitting on a box, and he has this long stick, and Elmo's saying Elmo doesn't know what to do with the stick. Robin comes in and says, hey, Elmo, what's up? He said, well, Elmo doesn't know what to do with his stick. Oh, I'll show you. And he takes the stick, and he says, you know, I'm Manute Bull. That was a basketball player back then. I'm Gene Shalit, which was, you probably don't even know that because that was a photo. Yeah. But he would do all of these things.
Movie.
You know, yeah, I would do, you know, I'm Pinocchio, and I have 20 Oscars. You know, so he would just go through, and it was amazing, Robin Williams, amazing. And so then he says, so that's what you can do with the stick. And he gives it back to Elmo, and Elmo says, thank you, Mr. Robbins.
Oh.
And Robin is standing there, and he says, I'm taking the stick back. And he leaves. The crew is on the floor. I can hear Robin Williams laughing, guffawing. And there was a hole that Elmo was in this crate, and I just slid Elmo down where you just saw his eyes. And Elmo says, I'm only at 2 lines. And that was it. And it was, yeah, that was a blooper, embarrassing moment.
It's always hard
fun.
when you've got something that you have to get right and you're the last line in the scene.
Yes.
And everybody's done all this dialogue, you get to the point and then you say the wrong thing. Everybody's got to do it again. Although you didn't do that again, I don't think.
Oh, no, there was a quick after. There was a quick after that nobody knows about. Tim Robbins was doing ADR at a studio that I was doing. I was putting on Baby, actually.
Yeah.
And he saw me in the hallway, and he came over to me and he said, "Thank you for using my last name." And I said, "No, it's getting around."
God, favorite improvised thing. There have been so many of those, and it's my favorite thing to ever do. I mean, I always felt like with Kermit when we would go do these things. You know, you talk about picking up a character. We have scripted material, and that's all great. But I always felt like the character grew when we would do press tours.
Oh, the best.
You know, God, I don't think I should tell you this one. It's a little bit risque. Oh, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to.
Dish, darling, dish.
Okay, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. It's favorite because it was another screw up. So we did the Muppet film with Jason Segel, if any of you guys have seen that one, called The Muppets. Yeah, it's a great one. But during that film, Jason's scenes were mostly with other characters. He and I didn't work together all that much. There was some Kermit, but not a lot. When I really got to know Jason, it was during the PR tour. And we went all over the world promoting this film. And one of the places we went was Mexico City, which going to Mexico City with Jason Segel is kind of wild in and of itself. I'm
more.
not a party person, but let's just say Jason is. So, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. We're doing one of those days where for 2 days in a row, we're in a dark room at a hotel, and they're bringing press people in one at a time. You know, it's called a
press junket.
Yeah, press junket. And I'm sitting on the floor next to a chair like this, and Jason's in the chair, and it's Jason and Kermit. All day long for hours, and then another day of it. We're near the end of the second day, late in the afternoon. We're both exhausted, and we're trying to make it seem like it's the first one of the day. This lady comes in. She's a local journalist. Neither one of us spoke really Spanish particularly, so all these people would either use a translator or they would speak English, and it was always fine. We felt stupid because we couldn't speak Spanish, right? So this lady comes in, and she had such a strong accent that it was hard to understand her, but she didn't want translators. She wanted to do English. So she's sitting here, we're here. I still can't believe I'm going to tell you this. She said, halfway through this, Jason and I, tired day, right? We're dead. We're punchy and dead. She says, so, I'm not going to try to do like an accent, but she said, so now that you do this film, I still can't believe I'm going to tell you this. She said, what will you fuck yous next? Jason and I lost it. We had no idea what she was actually trying to say. She was trying to say focus. What are you going to focus on next? I started laughing so hard, Kermit just died. I had to bring the puppet down. And then she said, so sorry, did I say that wrong? And we said, no, it's not you, it's us, we're tired. Anyway, we had to stop the interview, and Jason had to go outside and just get it out of our system before we could come back in and go with her again. And we felt so bad for her because she had no idea. It was just the time of day and what she said. Anyway, I can't believe I told you that.
Thank you.
That's
Hey, what's your name?
Gerald.
Oh, hello, Gerald. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hello, Gerald.
What's your question, Gerald?
My question is, at the end of the Muppet movie, when Kermit said, life is a movie, and when all the Muppets came into frame, how did that happen?
Well, it was hard. It was hard. It was, imagine like a stage like this, only huge, and a big giant soundstage. And there's a huge hole cut in the middle of it, so all the puppeteers can stand down inside of it. And it was, I don't remember the number, but it was hundreds of puppeteers. And it kind of, a lot of the people were actual puppeteers, and they put those people, because the camera pulls back, the real puppeteers were there, and some of the other people were not puppeteers at all. They're just people holding up puppets. And so, and that's how we did it. I was doing Fozzie in that. Frank was doing Piggy. Jim was there, and we were all kind of spanning out around that shot. But it was done for real. You couldn't green screen something like back in those days, So, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Great question, thank you. And we have time for one more, so hey, what's your name?
Heather.
Hello, Heather.
Hello. So I'm trying to think how to word this. Not everything you guys do is necessarily geared towards children, the puppeteering.
Yeah, like that story I just told.
Like
Sorry.
that story you just told,
sorry.
yes. But I was wondering, how do you shift the mentality from doing children's work to something like The Labyrinth or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I spend a lot of time saying, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. No, I don't know.
I mean, we're actors, so whatever we,
True.
whatever we
That's
get,
true.
we
actors.
and then Jim will say, you do this, you do that, It's.
But some of it, for me, I know, was always thinking about, because the Muppets were a little bit
Yes.
more movement. We would tone down the puppetry. Those were supposed to be kind of living, breathing
Creatures.
things.
We would change our the manipulation.
But I always found that kind of came back to me. Kermit got toned down after that. I mean, I would try to make him a little bit more organic, living, breathing kind of thing, for a lot of the stuff. I mean, we still do this sometimes.
I think with me, as far as I've done so many talk shows, with the Little Red Monster, that he is I found a level that I would put him when, like, I say I would do Jimmy Fallon or Rosie or something like that, and I would take his sense of humor up
Yeah.
So it's not, geared just for children, like Elmo is for. And so I found a happy medium to get him more as a comedic.
Yeah.
When we do those shows.
A little bit more adult.
A little bit more silly.
He understood a little more.
Yeah. So I would change him, but not so that people would say, "Oh, that's not Elmo."
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
great
a
question. Thank
tricky
you.
thing, yeah.
So guys, before we go, what's on everybody's dockets? Any upcoming projects you're allowed to share with us?
Heck if I know. You've been working on the new Fraggle Rock, I think.
Yeah, I've been helping Mr. Dave out doing Traveling Matt.
Yeah.
So I've been traveling.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of Mexico City
Traveling
New York.
Matt.
Yeah. So it's that's been fun to.
Yeah, I mean, Dave's still actively working, but he's a little bit COVID afraid.
Yeah.
Rightly so. He's like 200 years old now. And so, he'd get it really quickly. But
I'll tell him.
So Kevin's been doing some of the puppeteering
I've
with
been
Dave's
doing,
voice.
I was doing Mr. Traveling Matt.
That's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
'Cause
No, you know what?
Among the silly creatures.
I'm so silly that we were talking about what happened. You guys asked that question as far
that's
as
true.
performing
Assuming a
somebody
character.
else's. Dave just said, just make him as silly as you can. Yeah. He's trying to be this pompous, like he knows everything, but everything falls on him. Everything he falls, he's always tripping. He's always, but yet he's sending these postcards back to Gobo saying, "It's wonderful, isn't this amazing?" And but he's falling down, or he's getting everything wrong. So and he said, just be silly with him.
Yeah.
That was fun. That's been fun. So that's what I've been
Silly among the silly creatures.
Yes.
Well, I started doing a silly thing last night, which was I did this live stream over the last 3 years called Cave In, which was a little home project. I mean, I didn't advertise it. Whoever found it saw it. And it was a YouTube live stream with this character called Weldon the IT guy, who's an internet troll. IT stands for internet troll for him. And he's like Rizzo on steroids. It's all family friendly, even more so than the story I told. We keep the language okay. But he's just this grouchy little guy. And and what he wants you to do is it was a call-in show. So you could call in, and Weldon wanted to know your most miserable life experiences because he's a troll. He lives in a cave. He's this grouchy. He fed off your misery. And then we would shoot these little production numbers in the middle I only have one puppet, so he plays all the parts. And it was just a great way for me to just fiddle around. And we did the first one last night that broadcasted live from GalaxyCon. And it was kind of a disaster in some ways. But Brian O'Halloran is co-hosting with me, which is great. It's nice to have somebody else to talk to when you do these things. We were going to take calls and all that stuff. We had Barry Bostwick and John Rhys Davis as guests, which was a trip. So we're going to do this at the next 3 GalaxyCon shows for the rest of the year. We're going to make our set better, and we're going to polish it up a little bit, but I think it'll be fun. So we'll be broadcasting live from GalaxyCon. I'm excited about that. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
GalaxyCon Richmond 2023. This was the talented men behind the Muppets, and that was our time. But before we go, we are going to invite everybody to come up towards the stage. Not on the stage. We're going to take a GalaxyCon stage selfie with all of you and these amazing guests.